ام کاتتان باش بینرانی برزی برنامه راویش بخیر بینو بو برنامه کی دیکه ل برنامه ام جارمان دا میوانداری دکین ل برز دکتر الی وان روسل که بخوی اندامی شاندی نونتوی آشتی بو که لمانگی رابردو دا سری ترکیه آینده بو اوی که بتوانن برز عبدالله اوجلان ببینن و هر وها حول بدن بو اوی که جاری چی دیکه پروسه آشتی ل ترکیه دست بکاتوا دیاره اما وقت زن ل برنامه کانی پیشوتیش دا به کرتی باسی چونی او شاندمان کرد بلام لو برنامه دا برزیان بدرو درجی لسر او مسئله قصه نگل لکن. You are very welcome to my show here, to the Rawej. First of all, I would like to know a little about yourself. Who are you?
Okay, I'm Elly van Reusel. I'm a medical doctor in Belgium. I've been working in a health clinic for a long time. Since a couple of years, I'm a little bit involved in solidarity work with refugees and with the Kurdish issue. Before the Kurdish issue, I think you have been working in Filipinos or somewhere? Yes, that's correct. Can you explain it about it? Yes, in the Philippines, I was doing health work, both in the urban poor areas around Manila, as in the more remote mountainous areas, working together with the women's movement there, which is... when was it? That was 2006 until 2009. Yeah. Yes. So you stayed there all these 3 years? I lived there with my family in Manila, and sometimes we went out to the rural areas. Yeah. Yes. It is, there is also in the Philippines issues for the people, indigenous people being oppressed, women's issues being not addressed, some repression of the state, even some political killings. That happened also when I was there in the background. But as the profession, what, I mean, in what field of... I was a doctor, so I would go to the areas. You are a general doctor? I'm a general doctor, a family doctor, so in general I would go to the urban poor areas and treat the diabetes, the common coughs and colds, the pneumonias, the tuberculosis, things like that. Yeah, and then your contact with the Kurdish issue when started? I think it was because of some of my Kurdish patients. I would come and visit them, and they would also... In Belgium? In Belgium, yes. In Belgium, and they would welcome me, and they would tell a bit about their long-lasting struggle, their need for a cultural identity, things like that, and they would give me food. But it's only since I worked in the European Parliament. I helped organizing a conference when Mehmet Tunç spoke from Cizre. He was live in the conference. And then 3 weeks later, I heard that he died. Yeah, we come back to that later. But I would like to know more about your, before, I mean, your travel to Turkey, about your activities in connection to the Kurdish issue, in connection to the solidarity with the Kurds. Yes, so it's more like on a grassroots level. It's among the activists that we are, mainly the Belgian people who feel the need to express solidarity with the Kurdish issues, and we do things like film screenings. We screen the film Bakur. Bakur, which is produced in Turkey? Yes, it's a Turkish movie. I think it was even forbidden on the film festival, but it's a very, very human, very kind movie. So we screened it mostly for a Belgian audience. Where in Antwerp? We screened it in Ghent, in Antwerp, we will screen in Leuven, maybe in Brussels. We plan it to go around because if Belgian people have to rely only on the mainstream media to know about the Kurdish issue, it's too limited. Yeah. Yes. Okay, and what more? What more else? I mean, what are other activities that you have been involved? Well, I've been doing some volunteer work with organizing conferences in the European Parliament as an informal group with the European Union Turkey Civic Commission. They monitor how Turkey is doing vis-à-vis the Copenhagen Protocol to enter on things like human rights, things like cultural diversity, and so it's monitored. European parliamentarians are involved, academicians are involved. This is, And now about the travel to Turkey. We know that, for instance, Mr. Isa Musa, who has been, who is a judge from South Africa,
and the solicitor or a lawyer of his late Nelson Mandela. He has been involved in, let's say, propagating or publicizing about the situation of Mr. Abdullah Öcalan. And now I presume that they have a kind of initiative. And now, can you please tell me about the organizing of this travel to Turkey?
Yes.
How it was organized.
It's like you said, it was Judge Essa Mosa who was the leader of the delegation. Judge Essa Mosa, as you corrected, say he was a judge for the High Court in South Africa. Before that, he was also a lawyer for the late Nelson Mandela, and he was also closely involved in the peace process in South Africa when Mandela was released, and he had to talk with the South African people. So he was like the head of the delegation because he feels very strongly towards the peace and towards the role of Abdullah Öcalan. Yeah. So he took the lead of the delegation, but it was an initiative also from the EU-Turkey Civic Commission to gather people from all walks of life, individuals, politicians, parliamentarians, journalists, writers from different countries, from Italy, UK, Ecuador, Belgium, from all different parts of the world to come there and to also ask to the Minister of Justice if it was possible to meet with Abdullah Öcalan.
Yeah, I think you had planned like that you go there, and then because the 15th of February was the anniversary of the arrest of Öcalan in 1999. Yes. And then I think according to this joint statement that it was publicized in the online, that you said that you had two main aims for this travel. One was to have a meeting with the authorities of Turkish Justice Department in order to speak about possibly the resumption of peace negotiations one more, and then to also visit Mr. Öcalan in Imrali Island, prison island. Can you tell me how it was, what was the preparation for just asking these things?
Yes, so we had two goals. First was to meet with the Minister of Justice and to ask his opinion about the peace process and to ask his permission to go to Imrali to visit Abdullah Öcalan. And our main objective for the peace delegation was to meet with Abdullah Öcalan as he is pivotal to the peace process. Judge Essa Mosa has written a formal letter on behalf of the delegation.
Was it before your...
Weeks before.
Weeks before.
Weeks before, which they did not respond, and he followed up through many different ways, even through the South African embassy, through members of parliament. So finally they gave an acknowledgement of receipts, but that was it, no response.
While you were in Turkey?
While we were in Turkey. The letter was written before we were in Turkey, of course, but since there was no response, we followed up on it, or Judge Essa Mosa did, while we were in Turkey, but it was like a wall we could not get through, even not to be, like for our first request, a simple time from the Minister of Justice. So, and then it was not possible to meet, but at the same time, because you were in a time that things are escalating to the very bad, the Kurdish people's situation, for instance, in the, let's say, civilian peoples in the towns like Cizre and in Sur, in many other places. So what did you do? I mean, while you were waiting for this demand that it was not implemented, what did you do more there? Yes, we talked with lawyer associations, political organizations, people of civil society to hear what is the situation of Turkey, because Turkey is at a very critical point. The time that we were there was also the time of the many curfews in Cizre, Diyarbakir, Sur, escalating. We got news through the lawyers that people were trapped there in in basements. What was very distressing is that there were doctors to provide all their needs. This is what was told. I didn't go to Cizre, but that they weren't even allowed to have medical care where they were there, that doctors were blocked to visit the people in medical need. So this was all in the background of our visit, and we met with many different individuals who were telling stories about what was happening. We also met with some young people who I think signed a petition for Erdogan to also to ask to implement more democracy, and who were then themselves subject to persecutions.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think in the statement you speak about a very interesting aspect. You say that because it's this oppression, although it's just directed against in Kurdish areas in Kurdistan and against Kurdish people, but at the same time other sections of the population, they are also prosecuted. For instance, the Turkish academics, they asked for, peace, because they were against these warmongerings, and they said we are not part of this atrocity.
Correct.
And they were prosecuted while you were there, I think, because they announced their statement sometimes in January. So did you have any possibility to meet with these academics?
Yes, we set up a joint meeting with these academics to discuss this issue, and also to see, because of course we are outsiders, we are not Turkish citizens, we are not Kurdish people, we are outsiders. I think coming from Europe myself, and Europe has always a very strong wording about the need for democracy, humanitarian values, all of this stuff. So as visitor in Turkey, we must also address this issue to our own governments to see what is happening there. It's not to your foreset values, far from that. So for me, as somebody coming to visit, even in this brief visit, even in this, I could even sense democracy going down with the war happening in the east and an information blockade. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed urgently, also by the European Union.
And then you talk about in the statement that the people that you have spoken to, so they were just carrying two sort of views. Part of them, they were very optimistic, not optimistic, but part of them, they were very pessimistic. They were saying that it was very difficult to speak about resumption of the peace talks. But there were people who were also thought that it is there must be something, alternative for this very bad situation which we are witnessing. What was, the main ideas of those who were very pessimists? The ones who they didn't thought it will be possible to have a lasting peace anymore.
I think when we talked to some of the members of parliament who had been in Cizre, and we heard about the amount of violence that was used, then we were also very pessimistic. When we talked to the lawyers, some of the lawyers have done as many as 600 applications to visit Abdullah Öcalan.
You mean the lawyers of Mr. Öcalan?
The lawyers of Mr. Öcalan. Just a simple visit, which is a basic right. So it is denied.
Apparently, they have not been able to meet him since 2011.
I think 2011 he has met the last time with his lawyers, and since April 2015, nobody has seen him, even only the Turkish state. So if you see the stubbornness of Turkey, that is not something to be optimistic about, because also I think for Turkish society to solve the Kurdish issue, to find a way for having a democratic living together, it would also improve the lives of many in Turkey. But like I said before, we didn't see any opening from the Turkish government.
Yep.
Yes. On a personal level, what I found hopeful was also the meetings with the lawyers of Öcalan, which are young people, which are persecuted, which have very many problems they have to address for, but they stay strong.
Yep.
And they are very convinced to fight for justice. They believe in human rights, and they will try to get these human rights implemented in a formal way, in a juridical way, in an academical way. So when I saw the young people, it was encouraging. I think also that when I understand that Erdogan said we don't have a Kurdish issue.
Yep.
But that's not enough to stop it. And I think also the support among many people, among the Kurdish people, for Abdullah Öcalan, wanting him to be free.
Yes.
It's amazing. There was one of the delegates, a priest, Father Ryan. He was involved in the signature campaign. I think it was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
50 million, am I correct? Or 15 million?
Yeah, I'm not sure, yes.
Signatures to release Abdullah Öcalan. So I think, yes, this is an important thing.
Yeah, somewhere in this joint statement, you say that until Öcalan is freed, only talks about talks and not actual negotiations can take place. Mandela emphasized that only free persons and not prisoners can negotiate on behalf of his people for a political solution. So it means that according to your joint views of the, this peace delegation, is that one of the main aspects of a lasting peace is the, real negotiations, is the freedom of Mr. Öcalan.
Yes.
Is it true? Yes.
This was based upon the experience for peace process from Essa Moussa, who was closely involved with the peace talks of Nelson Mandela. So first of all, peace is very important.
Yeah.
Peace is important for the direct victims of the war in Cizre. Peace is important for Turkey because it's never good for a country to be at war with its neighbors or with its own population. So the idea of Öcalan having a big trust is still a big moral leader and also practical leader of the Kurdish people.
Yep.
It is very important that he is involved in the peace negotiations. But as Moussa said, only free men can negotiate. So in order to really negotiate about peace and really resume the peace talks, who were maybe a little bit with the Dolmabahce agreement, were a little bit up to speed. There were times when there was at least an opening.
Yeah.
This should resume, but to have real peace talks, he should be free. But of course, they can already draft, that's talks about talks. They can already draft an agenda. I think that was the feeling of the whole delegation, that it should be, that would be a way forward to peace.
Have you ever, as a delegation, as a group, have you ever thought about thought about the reasons for this escalation of the hostilities in Turkey and in northern Kurdistan?
Yes, some of the delegates have been involved with solidarity, with looking for peace for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, and they saw that the changing of the style of Erdogan after the elections in June, when he first lost the majority he needed to change the constitution. And then, he shifted to a sort of oppressive, more oppressive
politics.
Very oppressive politics. I think that was a point when it shifted. I think our delegation came to resume the peace talks and to express our concern of Öcalan being denied from his rights. Yeah. But of course, like you said, in the background, we have also question about what is the relationship of the Turkish government and Islamic State or Daesh, like they said. there is many questions raised about that and no answers given.
Yeah. Now, bearing in mind that our viewers may be interested to know, if you can speak about a little more about the members of the delegations,
yes.
one by one, if you can.
Yes.
You named this priest.
Yes.
Who was
so
he?
the leader of the delegation we talked all about is
Mr.
Judge Samosa.
Yeah.
There was one guest from Latin America.
Yeah.
He was of Paco Francisco Velasco. He was a former president of culture in Ecuador.
Minister of culture.
Former minister of culture in Ecuador.
Yeah.
He was first a journalist, so he was very touched by the cultural rights because he was been working in Ecuador also with indigenous people.
Yeah.
So that was his point of view. There was a priest, Father Joe Ryan, who has, like I said, been involved a long time in the peace talks, in many campaigns, like the campaign to free Öcalan, to have peace in Kurdistan. Janet Beale, she is a writer in academic and progressive circles in Europe and Europe and US, quite famous.
Yeah.
She has also been publishing of the works of Murray Bookchin, which you know very well. So she was there. Luckily, she was there because we were only 2 women delegates.
Yeah, among the delegation, yes.
Among the delegations.
Yeah.
There was also some people who were studying politics, like Federico Venturini from Italy. We had somebody from Canada, from the ecology movement. So there was a variety of fields.
So now, did you have any chance to visit the Kurdish women organizations?
No, unfortunately,
not.
I had not. No.
It's strange, you know, because we know that I think that the women organizations and the women in the Turkey and in the North Kurdistan, they are very active.
Yes.
But you didn't meet any women organizations?
No,
okay.
no.
Yeah. So coming now, when you we know that the delegation was there, none of these 2 main demands that you had was not met. You could not speak to the authorities in the Justice Department of Turkey, and then you could not go to the Emrali prison. Now, when you have come back to Europe, and then you have, I think, listed some kind of demands here in your joint statement.
Yes.
If we can go one by one and talk about them.
That's good.
What's your main, purpose now? What's the main thing that you want to do right now?
I think the main purpose is to stop the isolation of Abdullah Öcalan. It is a violation of human rights, and in my opinion, he should be free. He should be set free, Öcalan. So I think that's the main objective of the peace delegations. The second objective is to resume the peace talks. We talked about that. So to resume the peace talks, condition is also that Öcalan is free. I think.
But in order to get there, I mean, what
will we do?
Yes.
One of the members of parliament in Germany proposed to campaign vis-à-vis our own governments to explain to them what is happening in Turkey, and this will in the end also affect them. I think Europe must really understand that they cannot go on carrying with Turkey like that when all of these things are happening. So I think we have to campaign for in our respective countries, and of course for a member of parliament like Andrei Rumko from the Bundestag, this is easier. I think we do it on our own levels, some of them in grassroots level, some of them in writings, but it's our firm belief that we should campaign for that in our own countries.
I think you have called upon the Committee for the Protection Against Torture, inhuman or degrading treatment of or punishment of the Council of Europe, because they have been, I think, while still that it was, I mean, the visit of Öcalan was not allowed. I think they were able to just visit once. Do you think that it is, I think, a kind of very acute situation?
Because yes, I think the Committee of Prevention of Torture,
yes.
One of the lawyers said they are very good listeners.
Yes.
So they know really well what is happening there. Yes. But even them are denied access to visit Öcalan.
Are they denied?
They are denied.
Yeah, yeah.
So we call upon them to be more firmly in their demands, the Committee of Prevention of Torture, to go and visit Öcalan, because April 2015, no news, so it's really, really urgent that somebody, an independent body from the European Union, goes there and at least checks on him. Yeah. So that is a strong call we want to make.
But I mean, normally they should be allowed. Why they are prevented? Because I think there is some kind of obligation for Turkey.
The reasons they give is the same reasons they give to the lawyers. Yeah. The boat is broken, we have a holiday, very unlikely reasons, very bureaucratic reasons. Yeah. Yes.
So more points that you want to work on right now?
I think we also want to call on non-governmental organizations, human rights organizations, also to monitor what is going on in the east of Turkey with the war. Yeah. We also think that there should be more democracy. There's many political prisoners now. There's much repression. Yeah. People cannot freely express anymore. Journalists are attacked, so that's also something we call upon.
Yeah, but you know, right now, I mean, I think before our program is on air, so we know that there's a very acute situation in Diyarbakir. Yes. People have been, I mean, more or less from everywhere they are going towards the Sur area.
Yes. I saw it on the media. Yeah. I was very impressed on a personal level. Yeah. I was very impressed with the courage of the people to walk there in thousands to end, I think, the siege in Diyarbakir. Yeah. So, as an outsider, as somebody who thinks peace and human rights is important, that's optimistic. The power of the people is not broken. They are still there, out in the street marching. They are facing a very strong, very undemocratic government for their demands, but they are still courageous.
Okay, thank you, Dr.Elly van Reusel, for your time. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. I hope that you are continuing with your solidarity work.
Okay,
thank you.
I will. Thank you very much.
بینەرانی خۆشەویست بەم پێیە دەگەینە کۆتایی بەرنامەی ئەم جارەشمان تاکو ڕاوێژێکی دیکە لای ئێوەمە خۆش.